difficult to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Verbally or with care, it's very difficult. Because
you won't know what I'm talking about.
And also I'm resisting you all the time. I'm defending myself.
You're defending what you think you
What
see.
I think is right.
Yeah.
What I think is, I've been brought up as a Hindu or a British or a German or a Russian, whatever it is, and I see the danger of letting that go. I might lose my job.
Yeah.
People say I'm little-minded. People might say I depend on public opinion. So I'm frightened to let go. So I stick to it. Then what is your relationship with me? Have you any relationship?
No.
No, I question whether you have no relationship.
I can tell you what I see.
Yes, but if you have love for me, real, not just attachment and sex and all that business, if you really care for me, you cannot lose that relationship. I may run away, but you have that feeling of relationship. I don't know if I'm conveying what I'm...
In other words, I don't just say, well, I don't, and if you're not going to listen, the heck with you.
No. But, sir, establish a kind of relationship, perhaps very profound when there is love. I may reject you, but you have that responsibility of love. Not only to the particular person, but to the whole of humanity. What do you say?
Well, I can't say a great deal more. I think that this care and attention are the essential points, and for example, in the question of the observer and the observed, or the analyzer and the analyzed, the reason why that separation occurs is because there has not been enough attention.
Attention, that's what I'm saying.
So that one has to have that same attitude even in looking at one's own psychological problems.
An attitude of care?
Care and attention to what's going on. You see, one analyze by habit, right? And one might condemn that, for example. That would not be the right attitude. But one has to give care and attention to exactly what is happening. And that, just as in relationship with people, right? And it's because that there was no attention, or and not the right kind of attention, that division arose in the first place. Sustained, right?
But it's possible this kind of attention towards people that we know, wives, children, friends, etc. But what about people we don't know? I mean, most of us have never met any Russians, for example, and we feel, many of us, there's this terrible fear of Russia and Russian nuclear weapons and the Russian threat and all the rest of it. And so it's very easy to think, well, we've got to have all these bombs and so on because the Russians are so terrible. And we can think all these things about the Russians, we've never met them. So how do we have attention to enemies or imagined enemies that we don't know?
What is an enemy?
Well,
is there such thing as an enemy?
Well, there are enemies in the sense that there are people who
disagree with you, who have definite ideological differences.
Well, they're usually people who are afraid of us. I mean, the Russians are afraid of us, and we're afraid of them. And because they're afraid of us, they're in the position of being our enemies.
Because we are still thinking in terms of tribalism.
Yes, certainly.
Suppose you and I move out of that. I'm Russian. You're English or British or German or French. This sense of tribalism. What's my relationship then with you?
Well, we can
I'm not Russian then.
No.
I'm a human being with all my psychological problems, and you are another human being with all your psychological problems. We are human beings, not labels.
Of course, the Russians may reject this, you see. That is, suppose we're in this situation.
We are in it.
And the Russians will reject us, right? Then we have to, then what's the next step? Eh?
So what shall we do? You see, I represent all humanity. I am all humanity. I feel that way. To me, it's an actuality. Emotional, romantic. I feel I am the rest of mankind. I am mankind. Because I suffer, or I enjoy, I go through all the tortures, and so do you, so do you. So, you are the rest of mankind. And you have a terrible responsibility for that, in that. So when you meet a Russian, or a German, or a British, or Argentine, you treat them as human beings, not labels.
Then, does this simply mean that in this largely tribal society with governments and bombs and weapons of war, individuals scattered here and there who've dissolved tribalism within themselves?
If 100 of us, all over the world, really non-tribalistic attitude towards life, we would be like acting like a, I don't know, like a light in the midst of darkness. But we don't. This just becomes an idealistic, romantic idea, and we drop it, because each pursues his own way.
Yes.
So I think we ought to differentiate between attention and concentration. Concentration is focusing your energy on a certain point. Certain. And attention, there is no focusing on a certain point. It's attention.
Concentration seems to have a goal in mind.
The goal, motive, is a active process. I concentrate on a page, but my thought, I'm looking out of the window, and I have to pull it back and keep on this business. Whereas if I gave complete attention to what I'm looking out, that lizard which is going along the wall, and with that same attention I can look at my book, look what I'm doing.
Concentration presupposes that there's a controller in there pulling it back.
That's just it.
But then, if there's no controller of the attention is simply a response to whatever the present circumstances are.
You insult me. I'm attentive. There's no recording that insult. Huh?
Yes, I see.
You flatter me. A marvelous talk you gave the other day. I've had this so often repeated. And I'm bored with it. So I'm not only bored, I see, what? So you follow, is it possible, really, that's a wonderful question, is it possible not to record, except where it is necessary? It's necessary to record when you're driving, to learn how to drive. Record, do your business and all the rest of it. But psychologically, what's the need to record?